We are so excited that you are back for a GTA 6 devlog. Just joking. We are just a one-man band making an indie game, and because of that I need to think about minimizing scope. I want to try and get this thing done within my lifetime. And just as a refresher, we are working on a top-down story-based cute horror game with many planned characters and quests. Simplicity in execution is key, and I need to be able to create and iterate on these characters rapidamente. Ergo, most of my guys are going to be drawn in 32 by 32 pixels. I've been making life unnecessarily infuriating by using my mouse to draw them. Also, I'm left-handed. But the silver lining on this is that I'm forced to think more about the designs as I'm working. I'm trying not to pack in too many details as it's not physically possible and won't be readable. So far we've got this dude, that guy, this one as well. So, once they're all designed, I create new scenes for them in Godot. They each inherit the same script I made for interactable characters. This thing has a bunch of variables I have to input for each character, including one for dialogue entries. A special type of resource that determines what that character can say when you as the player go up and interact with them. None of these boys have animation yet, but I wanted to add something in that made them at least change direction to face the player. Yeah, right now it looks a little spooky though, so definitely going to add some anim later on. But yeah, we can make the characters flip to look at the player by doing a similar line of sight calculation like with the enemy in the last video. Basically, just shoot a raycast at the player location, and if the player is the first thing that we hit, then turn to face that direction in X. But then in games, we have to think about something called optimization. We don't want every single character constantly checking if they see the player. That's going to be unnecessary computation, especially if that character is a million miles away on the other side of the map. Luckily in my game, we're already tracking which room the player is in, so we can turn the lights on for that room. We just need to add a bit of code to make it so that when the player enters the new room, the characters in that room begin their line of sight checks. After my characters were in the level, I went back to looking at the dialogue setup. So far, you could go up and talk to the characters, but it wasn't very exciting or dynamic. It was just a very linear setup. I needed to give the player some control over the interactions. So the key feature we needed to achieve was possible replies to what the characters are saying. That way we can kind of get convo going with the NPCs. So to do this, I first added a few buttons into my interface and just hid them. Then I made a new Godot resource called Option, which could be used to trigger any number of actions and has its own text, also reads from the spreadsheet in the last video. I could then assign these options to my dialogue entry, and then when the dialogue entry has finished running, any options that it may have populate those hidden buttons and then makes them visible so the player can select. Once the player clicks the button, some actions could be triggered like play this other dialogue entry or complete this quest. And yeah man, we actually have some cool setup now where we can implement some story to the game. I couldn't really bear to look at the static characters anymore though, so I whipped up some idle animation for them, but I'm keeping it simple, keeping it simple. I gave each character only 4 frames of looping idle anim each and varied the playback speed in Godot to add a bit of variety. Also, I don't know if you've noticed, but I upgraded to Godot 4.6 since the last video. Didn't affect my game at all and actually fixed the bug we had with the enemy before with the inaccurate enemy pathfinding. So that is brilliant news. Goodbye!